The champagne glass doesn't shatter. It just tips. A slow, deliberate avalanche of gold-tinged liquid soaking into the cream silt of my dress, a stain spreading like a map of my ruined life. Across the penthouse, Julian's laughter rings out, bright and hollow, as he wraps a proprietary hand around her waist. Sophia, my former best friend. Her smile is a dagger sheathed in ruby lipstick. For 3 years, Julian was my son, the charismatic billionaire who pulled me from obscurity, who promised me the world and made me believe I was the only one worthy of ruling it beside him. I was the envy of every society column, the jewel in his burgeoning empire. And now I am the punchline to a joke I didn't know I was telling. The cold liquid seeps into my skin, a physical manifestation of the betrayal. I don't move. I watch them, a spectator at my own execution. He leans down to whisper something in her ear, his gaze flicking over to me with a flicker of annoyance, not guilt. I am an inconvenience, a piece of furniture that's suddenly in the way. A hand touches my elbow, a feather-light pressure that feels like a brand against the chill of the room. I turn, my face a mask I've perfected over a lifetime of surviving. "You're bleeding," a voice says, low, calm, an anchor in the storm of clinking glasses and trilling laughter. I look down. My fingers are wrapped around the stem of a broken champagne flute I don't remember grabbing. A thin red line is tracing a path towards my wrist. My eyes travel up from the blood to the hand that holds my elbow, to the crisp white shirt cuff, to the sharp jaw, and finally to eyes the color of a winter sea, gray, deep, and utterly devoid of the warmth I've been starved of. He isn't looking at me with pity. He's looking at me like he's cataloging me, a specimen, a problem to be solved, or an opportunity. "Come with me," he says. It's not a question. It's a command delivered with the quiet certainty of a man who is rarely, if ever, refused. My name is Lena, and in that moment, standing in the wreckage of my life with blood on my hand, I decide to follow the stranger. He leads me through the crowd as if parting water. People step back, their conversations faltering, their eyes widening with a mixture of recognition and deference. I'm too numb to process it, focused only on the pressure of his palm against the small of my back, a steady, impersonal force guiding me away from the carnage. He doesn't take me to the bathroom. He takes me to a private library, a wood-paneled sanctum sealed off from the party by a heavy door that clicks shut behind us, muting the noise to a dull hum. The air smells of old leather and expensive whiskey. A fire crackles in a marble hearth, casting dancing shadows. He releases me and moves to a bar cart, his movements efficient. He pours a measure of amber liquid into a crystal tumbler and holds it out to me. "Drink." I don't take it. I wrap my hand in a silk napkin from the cart, staunching the slow bleed. "Who are you?" He sets the glass down on the edge of a mahogany desk, the clink of crystal loud in the silence. He leans against the desk, crossing his arms. The firelight plays over the hard planes of his face. This isn't a man built for comfort. He's built for conflict. "Ethan," he says simply. Then, after a beat that feels like a test, "I know who you are, Lena, Julian's former partner." The word former hits me like a slap. He saw the whole thing. "I also know," his voice drops to a register that seems to vibrate in my bones, "that Julian Vance is about to finalize a deal that will make him one of the most powerful men in the country, a merger with Kestrel Industries, the deal of the decade." He pulls a tablet from his jacket, swipes his thumb across the screen, and holds it out to me. On it is a document, a financial statement, Julian's company. My eyes scan the figures, my mind initially refusing to process what I'm seeing. Then it clicks. The numbers are wrong. Not just inflated, they're a beautiful, elaborate fiction, a house of cards built on shell companies and cooked books. My blood runs cold, and it has nothing to do with the champagne. He didn't just cheat on you tonight, Lena. He's been cheating everyone for years. His entire empire is a lie, and the merger with Kestrel, it's the linchpin. If it goes through, when the truth comes out, it won't just be Julian who falls, it'll be thousands of investors, pension funds, people's lives. He lets that hang in the air, the weight of it pressing down on my chest. "Why are you showing me this?" I manage to ask, my voice a ragged whisper. He pushes off the desk, closing the distance between us. He stops just before invading my space, close enough that I can feel the heat radiating from his body. He reaches out, his thumb brushing the corner of my mouth, wiping away a smudge of lipstick I didn't know was there. It's an intimate gesture, stolen. "Because I've been hunting Julian Vance for 3 years," he says, his eyes locked on mine. "And tonight I realized I've been going about it all wrong. I was looking for a weapon. I should have been looking for the woman who could wield it." He takes the broken glass from my numb fingers, setting it aside. He doesn't look at the blood, he only looks at me. He takes my injured hand, unwrapping the napkin. The cut is shallow, the blood already clotting. He brings it to his lips, and I watch, mesmerized, as his mouth closes over the wound. A soft, gentle suction. The sting of it is replaced by a shock of heat that shoots straight up my arm, pooling in my gut. He releases my hand, his eyes dark. "All I need is for you to say yes." This is my moment of choice. I could walk away, rebuild my life quietly, forget. But I look into his storm-gray eyes and see not a savior, but a mirror. Reflecting back at me is my own rage, my own hunger for a justice that goes beyond a broken engagement. "What's the catch?" I ask. A slow, dangerous smile touches his lips. It's the first genuine expression I've seen from him. "There's always a catch, Lena, but I promise you, it'll be worth it." I think of Julian's laughter, Sophia's smile, the cold champagne, the blood on my hand. "Yes," I say. The word feels like a key turning in a lock. 2 weeks later, I'm in his penthouse. It's not a home, it's a fortress. Walls of glass overlooking a city that glitters with false promises. The furniture is minimalist, angular, chosen for function over comfort. I am the only soft thing here. The plan is simple. Ethan will reintroduce me to society as his protege, his partner in a new venture, a woman rebuilt, more formidable than before. Julian, driven by ego and a compulsive need to possess anything Ethan shows interest in, will inevitably try to win me back. I will get close enough to him, close enough to his digital fortress, to extract the proof Ethan needs, the evidence that will bring the house of cards down. We've been rehearsing. Our cover story, our body language, the way I will look at him in public, a mix of adoration and debt. The way he will touch my arm, possessive and proud. But it's the private rehearsals that are burning me alive. We're in his office, a room dominated by a wall of monitors showing financial data streams I can't begin to decipher. He's teaching me to be cold, to lie without flinching. "Again," he says, leaning against his desk, arms crossed. "Tell me you love him." I stand before him, trying to summon the feeling. The words feel like ash in my mouth. "I love you, Julian." "No," Ethan says, his voice sharp. "You're reciting a line. You need to sell it. When you say it, you need to mean it. You need to look at him like he's the only man in the room who can save you from drowning." Frustration claws at my throat. I can't. The thought of touching him makes my skin crawl. Ethan pushes off the desk and walks towards me. Each step is deliberate, a predator closing in. "Then you're not ready. If he senses even a flicker of the hate you feel, this is over. You won't just fail, Lena. You'll be dead." He stops in front of me, so close I have to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. The air between us is thick, charged with a tension that has been building for days. Late-night strategy sessions, accidental brushes of fingers, the way his gaze lingers on my lips when he thinks I'm not looking. "Show me," he murmurs, his voice a low vibration. "Show you what? Show me what it looks like when you need someone, when you want them so badly it's a physical ache." My breath catches. This is part of the plan, the method acting, but the line between performance and reality has become a smudge. "You're the only one who sees me," I whisper, and this time it's not Julian I'm speaking to. My hand comes up, trembling, to rest on his chest. I can feel the steady, powerful beat of his heart beneath my palm. It's not as calm as he pretends. "When I'm with you, I don't feel like a ghost." His jaw tightens. A muscle jumps in his cheek. He doesn't move to touch me, but he doesn't pull away. "That's better, but you're showing vulnerability. Julian doesn't want vulnerability. He wants obsession. He wants to see a woman who would burn the world down for his attention." He reaches out, his fingers tracing the line of my jaw, tilting my face up. The touch is feather light, yet it sets every nerve ending on fire. "Look at me like you'd let me consume you." His eyes meet mine. The gray is nearly black now, ringed with heat. I let the mask of Lena, the wronged woman, the apprentice, fall away. Underneath is something raw. I want to be consumed by the plan, by him, by the promise of destruction we're building together. "Like this?" I breathe, my hand sliding up from his chest to curl around the back of his nape, my fingers threading into the dark hair at his nape. A low sound rumbles in his chest, something between a growl and a groan. His hand leaves my jaw to wrap around my wrist, not pulling me away, but holding me there, as if testing his own restraint. The tension is a physical force, pushing us together even as we stand inches apart. "Perfect," he says, his voice strained. "Now, practice on me." He lowers his head, his lips hovering just a breath away from mine. I can feel their warmth, the promise. My heart is a frantic drum against my ribs. "When you kiss him," Ethan instructs, his eyes half-lidded, "you can't be timid. You need to make him believe you've been starving for him, that nothing else exists." My gaze flicks from his eyes to his lips. I'm not thinking about Julian. I'm not thinking about the plan. I'm thinking about the pressure of his thumb on my wrist, the scent of cedar and rain that clings to him, the way his control is a palpable thing, stretched thin. "And if I'm not kissing Julian?" I whisper, the question a dare. His eyes flash, his control snaps. He closes the microscopic distance, but it's not the kiss I expected. It's not a rehearsal. It's a claiming. His mouth is hot and demanding, his free hand fisting in my hair, tilting my head to the angle he wants. I gasp against his lips, and he swallows the sound, his tongue sweeping in, tasting, dominating. I arch into him, my body igniting, the weeks of tension exploding into a frantic, desperate heat. He walks me backwards until my spine hits the cold glass of the window overlooking the city. The shock of it against my skin is nothing compared to the inferno he's stoking. He breaks the kiss, his breath ragged, his forehead pressed against mine. "That," he pants, "is how you destroy a man." He pulls back, his hands dropping from me as if burned. He takes a deliberate step away, his chest rising and falling rapidly. The mask is back in place, but it's cracked. I can see the raw hunger beneath it. He turns his back to me, walking towards his desk, his shoulders rigid. "We're ready. Tomorrow night, Julian's charity gala. You go back to him." He doesn't look at me. He can't, because we both know that in that kiss, we crossed a line that was never in the script.
and the game we're playing just got infinitely more dangerous.
The gala is a sea of black ties and shimmering gowns. I'm wearing blood red, a dress Ethan chose. He said it was the color of victory. I feel like a target. I spot Julian across the room, deep in conversation with a group of investors. He looks up, his eyes scanning the crowd, and when they land on me, they widen. He doesn't see a threat. He sees his discarded possession, polished and gleaming, standing beside a rival. His ego inflates instantly, visibly. The hook is set. Ethan's hand is on the small of my back, a warm, steady pressure that grounds me. "Remember," he murmurs in my ear, his lips brushing the shell of it, sending a shiver down my spine. "You're hungry for him. You've been lost without him. I'm just a stepping stone back to the sun." "And what are you, really?" I ask, not looking at him. "Your anchor," he says, and the words are a vow wrapped in a lie. He releases me, and I step into the current, allowing myself to be pulled towards Julian. It's the performance of my life, the hesitant smile, the feigned surprise at seeing him, the apology for the other night. My fault, I was overwhelmed. You know how emotional I get. Ethan was just being kind. He's been helping me get back on my feet. Julian eats it up. His arrogance is a drug, and I am the dealer. By the end of the night, his hand is possessively on my arm, and he's whispering promises in my ear. "I made a mistake, Lena. Sophia meant nothing. You and we were always meant to be." He asks me to come back to his penthouse, the same penthouse where he'd poured champagne over me. I hesitate, playing coy, letting the tension build. Then I lean in, my lips brushing his ear as I whisper, "I've missed you, Julian, more than you know." The victory is hollow in my mouth. The next few weeks are a delicate dance. I let Julian woo me. Dinners, flowers, grand gestures. All the while, Ethan is a constant, shadowed presence. We meet in his car, in private corners of restaurants, in the early hours of the morning at his fortress. We don't kiss again. The tension is a living thing, coiled tighter with each passing day. We discuss the plan, the data I need to extract, but our conversations are fraught with unspoken things. One night, after a particularly draining evening with Julian, I let myself into Ethan's penthouse with the key he'd given me. I find him on the terrace, a glass of whiskey in his hand, staring out at the city lights. He doesn't turn when I approach. "He's getting impatient," I say, my voice tired. "He wants me to move back in." Ethan takes a slow sip of his whiskey. "Then you move back in." "He'll want," I trail off. "Intimacy," Ethan finishes for me, his voice flat. "It's part of the plan, Lena. You get him comfortable, vulnerable. You get access to his home office, his private server." "I know the plan," I snap, frustration boiling over. "I'm not a child. What I'm asking is, can you handle it?" He finally turns. The city lights are behind him, casting his face in shadow, but I can see the tension in his jaw, the tight set of his shoulders. "Handle what?" he asks, though he knows. "Me, in his bed." I step closer, the words spilling out. "You said this was just business, but you kissed me like it was the end of the world, and you've been looking at me ever since like you want to tear me away from him and lock me in here with you." He sets his glass down with a sharp click. He moves so fast I don't see him coming. One moment he's across the terrace, the next he's caging me against the railing, his hands gripping the cold metal on either side of my hips. "You want to know if I can handle it?" he growls, his face inches from mine. His breath is warm, laced with whiskey and that singular, desperate scent of him. I've been handling it by not thinking about the fact that every time you smile at him, I want to put my fist through a wall, by not imagining his hands on you, by not lying awake every night replaying the sound you made when I kissed you. He leans closer, his forehead pressing against mine. I'm handling it by remembering that this is the only way to destroy him and keep you safe. But don't mistake my control for indifference, Lena. It's the only thing I have left. My hands come up, fisting in the fabric of his shirt. The tension, the weeks of it, is a dam about to break. Then stop handling it, I breathe. He lets out a sound, a guttural release of restraint. His mouth crashes on mine, and this time there's no rehearsal, no plan, just the raw, desperate truth of two people who have been circling each other for too long. He tears his mouth from mine, his breath ragged. He looks at me, his eyes blazing with a possessive fire that steals my breath. I want you to know, he says, his voice a dark promise, that when he touches you, you're mine. Every smile you give him is a lie you're telling for me, and when this is over, you will not walk away. He kisses me again, and I fall. It's a breach of every rule we set, a collision of strategy and soul. Later, in the cool sheets of his bed, with his heart pounding against my cheek and his arms wrapped around me like a cage, I realized I've made a fatal error. I've fallen for the man who is using me as a weapon, and I don't want to be saved from it. I want to be consumed. Moving back into Julian's penthouse is like walking into a lion's den wearing a meat suit. I play my part, the repentant lover, the woman who sees the error of her ways. I laugh at his jokes, listen to his plans for the Kestrel merger, and slowly, meticulously, I gain access. His home office is a fortress within a fortress, biometric locks, a safe hidden behind a painting, a computer that requires both a password and a thumbprint. I collect the data Ethan needs in crumbs. A password glimpsed over his shoulder, a thumbprint lifted from a glass he's left in the kitchen sink, which I pressed in a silicone mold Ethan provided. The tension is a double-edged sword. With Julian, it's a performance. His touch makes my skin prickle with revulsion, but I channel it, using my body as a tool. I let him believe he's winning me back, letting the intimacy build, delaying the final act to ensure I have everything. But Ethan is the one who is unraveling. Our secret meetings become more frantic, more desperate. He's no longer the calm, collected architect of revenge. He's a man on the edge. He pulls me into shadows at charity events, his hand fisting in my hair, his mouth claiming mine with a brutal urgency that leaves me breathless and aching. "One more week," he says one night, his voice strained, after a meeting in the back of his car. We're parked in an alley, the city's grime a stark contrast to the polished leather interior. "You're taking me to the Kestrel signing event. He'll be in the office beforehand, finalizing the documents. That's when you get the drive." He looks at me, and for the first time I see fear in his gray eyes, not of the plan failing, but of me, of what I'm doing. "Is he touching you?" The question is a blade. I look away. It's part of the plan. His hand shoots out, gripping my chin, forcing my gaze back to his. "Is he touching you?" I whisper. "Yes." A flicker of something dark and violent passes through his eyes. He releases me, turning to stare out the window, his knuckles white where he grips the door handle. "When this is over," he says, his voice so low I almost miss it, "I'm going to make him pay for every second his hands were on you." But Julian isn't just getting impatient, he's getting suspicious. It starts with a casual question. "You seem distant, Lena. Is something going on?" I laugh it off, blame the stress of the upcoming merger, the pressure of being back in the spotlight. Then he finds a text from Ethan, a simple status that I'd forgotten to delete. Julian's expression when he shows me the phone is not angry, it's calculating. "What's this?" My heart slams against my ribs. "Ethan has been helping me with some investments, after everything. I needed to get back on my feet."
He stares at me for a long, agonizing moment. Then his face splits into a smile, but it doesn't reach his eyes. Of course, I'm glad you had someone to look out for you. He pulls me into an embrace, but his arms feel less like comfort and more like a trap. You know, Lena, I was just talking to someone from my security team. They noticed you've been spending a lot of time in my office lately, late at night, when you think I'm asleep. My blood turns to ice. I pull back, forcing a confused expression. I couldn't sleep. I've been looking at the city views. It helps me relax. He tilts his head, his eyes scanning my face with a predator's focus. Relax, of course. He runs a thumb down my cheek, a gesture that used to feel loving and now feels like a threat. Don't worry about the merger, Lena. It's almost done. And then we can finally be together, the way it was always meant to be. He walks away, leaving me in the center of the living room, my heart pounding a frantic warning in my chest. He knows, or he suspects. The window is closing. If he moves the files, if he changes the access codes before the Kestrel signing, everything is lost. That night, I send Ethan a single word: accelerate.
The night of the Kestrel signing, the penthouse is a hive of activity. Julian is in his study, reviewing final documents with his lawyers via a secure video link. The rest of the staff is busy preparing for the post-signing celebration. It's my window. I slip into his office, my heart a frantic drum against my ribs. I use the lifted thumbprint to access his computer, my hands trembling as I insert the encrypted drive Ethan gave me. The data transfer begins, a progress bar, 10%, 30%, 60%. The door clicks shut behind me. I freeze. I knew it. Julian's voice is soft, almost sad. He's leaning against the door, arms crossed, watching me with an expression of cold, clinical disappointment. There's no security team, no sudden violence, just him and me and the incriminating drive blinking in the port. You were always so clever, Lena, but not clever enough. He pushes off from the door, walking towards me slowly. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? The late-night visits, the questions about the Kestrel deal, the way you looked at Ethan Markham like he was your lifeline. He reaches the desk and plucks the drive from the computer as if plucking a piece of lint. The transfer stops at 87%. He tosses the drive in the air and catches it, a cruel smirk on his face. Ethan, I should have known. He's been a thorn in my side for years, always sniffing around, trying to find something that isn't there. It is there, Julian, I say, my voice steady despite the terror clawing at my throat. The shell companies, the fraudulent earnings, it's all there. You can't hide it forever. He laughs, a sound devoid of humor. I don't need to hide it forever. I just need to hide it until tomorrow. The merger signs tonight. By the time anyone finds anything, I'll be untouchable. And you, he reaches out, his fingers trailing down my cheek, a parody of affection. You'll be collateral damage, a scorned woman who tried to sabotage her ex-lover's big moment, a sad, pathetic story. He leans in, his lips brushing my ear. I was going to let you go, Lena, but you just had to try and burn it all down. His voice hardens. Ethan Markham is about to have a very public, very embarrassing meltdown, and you're going to be right there with him. He pulls back, holding up the drive. This is nothing. The real files are in a place no one will ever find them. He smiles, and it's a smile of a man who has already won. Game over. He turns to leave, and in that moment, I feel it. Not despair, not fear, a cold, crystalline clarity. The game isn't over, it's just changed. You're right, Julian, I say, my voice calm. I'm not clever enough, but Ethan is.
He stops, his hand on the door handle. He glances back, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face. What are you talking about? I smile. It's not the smile of the victim, it's the smile of the victor. The drive you're holding, that's a decoy, a pretty little piece of junk I was supposed to use if I got caught. Ethan needed you distracted. He needed you focused on me, on the small, pathetic threat I represented, so you wouldn't see the real one coming. I gestured to the computer. The data transfer was a smokescreen. What you interrupted was just me covering my tracks. The real extraction happened 3 days ago, Julian, from a mirror server Ethan set up in your cloud infrastructure, a backdoor you never even knew existed. His color drains from his face. For the first time, I see genuine fear in his eyes. You're lying. Am I? I take a step towards him, and he flinches back. The power has shifted. You're right about one thing. You taught me to be 2 steps ahead. You just didn't realize that Ethan and I were 3 steps ahead of you from the very beginning. I pull out my phone, showing him a news alert that just popped up on the screen. The headline screams in bold letters. FBI raids Kestrel Industries, cites evidence provided by whistleblower in Vance fraud investigation. He stares at the screen, his face a mask of horror. The drive slips from his fingers, clattering to the floor. No, this isn't, it can't be. The door to the office bursts open. 3 men in suits, federal agents, file in, their badges held high. Julian Vance, you are under arrest for securities fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. As they read him his rights, as they cuff him, his eyes never leave mine. The hatred in them is absolute. You'll pay for this, both of you. One of the agents leads him away. The room empties, leaving me alone with the echo of his words. I should feel triumphant, vindicated. Instead, I feel a cold emptiness. I did it. I played my part perfectly. But as I stand in the wreckage of Julian's empire, I can't help but wonder if I just traded one cage for another.
3 months later, the dust has settled. Julian is awaiting trial, his assets frozen, his name a cautionary tale. The public has moved on to the next scandal. I'm in Ethan's penthouse, our penthouse now, I suppose. The glass fortress that once felt like a cage now feels different, more comfortable. But the air is thick with an unspoken tension that has been building for weeks. He's standing by the window, the city lights reflecting in his gray eyes. He looks at me, and there's something in his expression I can't quite read. Not victory, not satisfaction, something deeper, more calculating. It's done, he says, his voice calm. Yes, I reply, sitting on the edge of the leather sofa. We won. He walks towards me, his steps slow, deliberate. He stops in front of me, looking down. You did well, Lena. Better than I could have imagined. He reaches out, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. The touch is gentle, but there's a possessiveness to it that sends a shiver down my spine. I told you that night, when this was over, you wouldn't walk away. I'm not walking away, I say, looking up at him. He smiles, but it's not the smile of a lover. It's the smile of a chess player who has just executed a brilliant endgame. No, you're not. He pulls a tablet from his jacket, the same one he showed me that first night. He swipes his thumb across the screen, turning it to face me. On it is a document. My eyes scan the words, my brain struggling to comprehend. It's a deed for Julian's company, but his name has been replaced. My name is at the top. Lena Vance. No, Lena Markham. My head snaps up. What is this? Julian's empire, Ethan says, his voice calm.
It was built on a lie, but the infrastructure, the assets, the real estate, it's still worth a fortune. I used the evidence we gathered to negotiate a deal with the federal prosecutors. They got their conviction, and I got the company. He sets the tablet down on the coffee table and kneels in front of me, his hands resting on my knees. It's yours, all of it. I put it in your name. Consider it severance. My heart stops. Severance? For services rendered, he clarifies, but his eyes are dancing with something dark. You played your part. You get your reward. A multi-billion-dollar company, freedom, a life without me. He's testing me. I can see it in the set of his jaw, the intensity of his gaze. He's given me a way out, an escape hatch, and he's waiting to see if I'll take it. I look from the tablet to his face. I could take it. I could walk away from this glass fortress, from the man who orchestrated my revenge, who kissed me like a brand, who held me in the dark and promised me destruction. I could be free, but I don't want to be free. I reach out, my hand cupping his jaw. His stubble is rough against my palm. What if I don't want the company? I ask, my voice a whisper. His eyes flare, his hands tighten on my knees. What do you want, Lena? I lean forward, my lips hovering just above his. I can feel his breath, warm and uneven. I can feel the tremor in his hands, the barely leashed control that has defined our entire relationship. You said I wouldn't walk away, I murmur against his lips. What's that? He breathes. I pull back, just enough to look into his eyes. I let him see me, not the weapon, not the pawn, the architect. You were so busy building this perfect trap for Julian, you forgot to wonder who was building a trap for you. His brow furrows. Confusion flickers in his gray eyes. What are you talking about? I smile, a slow, predatory smile that I know he recognizes because I learned it from him. I reach into the pocket of my jacket and pull out a folded piece of paper. I unfold it, revealing a document, a wire transfer receipt. His eyes scan it. I watch the exact moment he understands. The confusion clears, replaced with something else, shock, disbelief, and then slowly a dawning, horrified admiration. The wire transfer is for the entire amount he used to acquire Julian's company, the funds he thought he'd secured from his own hidden accounts, the accounts I'd discovered 3 weeks ago when I'd been organizing his files, the accounts that were meant to be his safety net, his own escape hatch. The money is now in a holding company, a shell company, registered in the Cayman Islands, in my name. You didn't just give me a company, Ethan, I say, rising from the sofa. He stays kneeling, looking up at me, his face a mixture of shock and awe. You gave me the keys to your kingdom. I just needed you to think you were handing them to me as a gift. I walk towards the window, looking out at the city lights, the same view he's been staring at for months, plotting, scheming. I turn back to face him. You wanted to own me, I say, my voice echoing in the silent room. You were so focused on destroying Julian, you forgot to wonder who was building a trap for you.